Hello, gentlemen. How's it going? Good evening, good evening, good evening. My name is Kendrick, and I am glad to be here this evening with you guys. It's Wednesday, and it is time once again for us to catch up and to connect and to do some mastermind and being stretched. Um, well, I hope that your week is you having a good start to the week. Well, we're halfway through it, and we're having some amazing weather. It's amazing how we always end up talking about the weather, isn't it? Um, but yeah, I'm excited to be here. I don't know anybody going to jump on. Obviously, I can't do a mastermind by myself, isn't it? But if it comes down to that, then I'll just let it drop anyway. But hopefully somebody will jump on, and then we will start. But just to do kind of like a quick recap, or just touch on a couple of things that we spoke about last week. We had an amazing session facilitated by Mr. Chido. He did an amazing job as usual, talking about the pillars of progress. Let's be honest, all of us want to make some progress. And what I like about the title is, just the word pillars that's in there, because I do believe that success, um, anything that is good, anything that is worth pursuing, is being held up by pillars. And I think when you discover what those pillars are and be intentional about strengthening those pillars, about reinforcing those pillars, because what are pillars? Pillars are pretty much serving as a foundation, isn't it? It serves as support. It serves as um, um, that keeps that structure in place. Um, and just kind of like the conversation was just amazing. And if you look at just the topic itself, because we kind of like looked at a reflection and we looked at redefinition when it comes to pillars of progress. So I'm looking forward to continue this conversation this evening. As I said, I'm just waiting for somebody to jump on, but I'm comfortable just talking here by myself. Yes, I am indeed, absolutely. And it is an amazing topic because um, if you kind of like just think back with the previous conversations we had, it's all kind of like directed towards growth. It's all directed towards us being able to take our rightful place as men and become confident within ourselves, knowing that we have, each and every one of us, we've got something that we are carrying, and we can boldly come to the table and say, this is my portion that I want to contribute, because I know that you might to try and contribute the way I contribute, but you can't, because I'm an individual. And that goes the same for every one of us. And I think once we reach that stage, it's an amazing place to be, because you know that you are carrying, you are carrying worth. There's no sense of competition, there's no sense of jealousy, there's no sense of trying to backbite or anything, being malice in any kind of way. Why? Because you know that God has created you in a specific way, where your contribution, it counts in a unique way. I think I've got Mr. Rabi there just saying hi. Thank you for jumping on, bro. As always, good to see you. And I think one of the things that I maybe want to highlight, like now I can't see who it is. I kind of like have to guess that it is Mr. Rabi. It might be somebody else. But usually what happens is, if there's a part where StreamYard will ask you to enter your name, or allow StreamYard to display your name. That will really help us, because then we can see who it is that's online. But I'm sure that's Mr. Ravi. Good to see you, bro. Yeah, so So yes, I am excited to for us to pick up this conversation this evening. So because when we look at pillars, I'm kind of like just talking. I know Mr. Chido, he'll be here most probably very soon. But if you just think about it, when we look at pillars, it is something that is very much indeed it is the Mr. Yeah, yes, it is you, sir. Thank you so much. So I think pillars play a crucial role in our lives, and I don't think just think about it. Think about it in this way: our marriage is upheld by pillars or supported by pillars. Your business is supported by pillars. Your relationships is supported by pillars. I think our job is to discover what are those pillars that are supporting even my life or in your life as an individual. It is supported by pillars. That's why we cannot underestimate this conversation because where did I leave my water? I haven't even started talking yet, and my throat is already dry. What in the world? Let me just take a sip here. So I think the job lies where if you and I can discover what pillars am I supposed to develop to support my life? What pillars do I need to support my finances? So sometimes I think we get into certain conversations, but we don't really understand how deep these conversations are and how universal they are. And I think if we are at that place where we are clear, hey, sir, how you doing?
Oh,
I was just
good
kind of
evening, all.
yes, how are you doing, sir? I was kind of like just peddling you. When is Mr. Chino coming on? And I'm like just coming up with all kind of pillar stories, brother. Like pillar this and pillar that.
As long as it's the truth, that's all that matters.
Absolutely, and I do believe. I'm just kind of like as I was talking, I'm kind of like just thinking, that this is a really a foundational conversation because I was just saying to the guys, uh, this specific series you've called it pillars of progress, but I
Yeah.
do believe that every area of our lives is supported by pillars. Our relationships is supported by pillars.
Mhm.
My life is supported by pillars. Our relationship with our spouse, with our children, and it's our job to identify those pillars
Yeah.
and kind of like take the time and the effort to strengthen those pillars because that's what's needed. And obviously, you've already identified, I believe, 7 pillars that we are going to talk about. You've covered 2 last week, and
Mhm.
this was kind of like really brilliant because some great insight was revealed during the conversation last week. So I believe we're gonna take it to another level this evening. So I'm not gonna even delay any further. Just gonna hand over to you, sir. Go for it, and let's sharpen one another. All right, go for it.
Great, fantastic. Good evening, everyone. It's amazing having this time. Um, you know, some things in life is very easy to give an excuse and say, "Oh no, I've been away, all this," and you say, "Oh, let's just leave it for this week and then go." But I just thought, no, we've started something really good last week. Let's carry on with it,
That's right.
and that's a fantastic intro as well, Kendrick. So thank you so much
Awesome.
for doing that. And to everyone that's watching online, we are still talking about the pillars. Of progress. And we talked about why last week we talked about why we prefer progress to success,
Mm.
because success in some cases to many people it's a destination. It's where you will get to and you say, yes, I've arrived. In fact, some people talk about success as someone having arrived. And based on the insights we have, based on life's experience, we know that nobody has arrived. We know that even the people that we refer to as have arrived, they are still pursuing things. In fact, they get up early in the morning before all of us. So that's a fallacy to begin to talk about, 10 steps to success, 1 step to success, and so on and so forth. So that's why I thought about it in this way, so that we have pillars of progress. Because as you begin to achieve success, then you know that the calling is higher. As soon as you're at a certain level, then you know that there's a higher calling, and you continue to rise and rise and rise. And that's why, the Bible says in the book of Proverbs that the paths of the righteous shines brighter and brighter unto the perfect day. And that's how we ought to look at life. And even if you look at where Joshua was being commissioned, he said, "This book of the law shall not depart." So, so shall you succeed and have good success. And you look at those things and continue to meditate what it takes to make progress, to make that success. So some people will look at that and think, "Oh, this is the formula. I want to achieve success, so let me do this." And then, without understanding that that scripture applies to someone who is at the bottom of the ladder as much as it appears to someone who sees themselves as on top of the ladder. So that's the preamble for today, just to remind us. And we're talking about pillars. Pillars are very necessary. You look at chairs. Most chairs have four legs. Those are like pillars. But when you want to build very solid houses, you see that at every corner there are pillars. There's a lot of preparation that goes in, and that is the basis on which the strength of the pillars are determined before you can then progress with the building. And that's the strength of these particular pillars that we've talked about. Last week we looked at reflection, looking at where you are and considering the things that take your time, the things that you're busy chasing, the things that you do every day. And based on that, taking a step back and redefining what progress means to you. Mm-hmm. Because someone might look at you and they think that you're progressing, but you're looking at yourself. Because you spent that time in reflection, mm-hmm. You're going to be the best person to say to yourself, "I am in this position and I'm happy with it," or that "I am in this position and people think it's success, people think it's a good place to be, but based on my specific calling as a man or as a husband, as a father, I do not believe that I am in the position that I'm supposed to be." And that's the result that comes out of reflection. And then, based on that, you're able to redefine what is important to you. You reprioritize. That's another way of looking at it. Because at every stage in our life, we're looking at what really matters at this stage. And I talked about how I dreamt of having those big cars, those big houses. And then at some stage I realized, and it's got nothing with me finding out that those things are really hard to get, or it's really hard to have businesses that can produce those type of possessions. But I've come to a stage where I've reassessed, I've reflected on my life, and I've tried to redefine what matters to me. And I've asked myself, why did I want a Rolls Royce? I wanted a Rolls Royce because it's a good car. I have a lot of comfort, but most importantly, it's a good way to arrive at events. It's a good way to arrive at locations. When people see you, they will know. We're not talking normal levels here. We're talking advanced level. We're not talking good. We're talking, exceptional, so on and so forth. But that's another person defining me. But why would I hand that power over to somebody else to define me? And, based on that redefinition, I've realized that what I need to do, which is the next step that we're going to, which is about resolution. What do I need to do now? What do I need to do to redirect myself, to push myself in the right direction that I need to be going now? What do I need to do? Because if you cannot resolve in your heart to make a change, if you have not reflected, you've not redefined, it's hard for you to now say, I am resolving. You look at the scripture where it says that the prodigal son, that he resolved in his heart, that, look, this is what's happening. My father's house is a party every day, and I'm here suffering. Why should I let that happen? That's a resolution. It took him a lot of confidence. It took him a lot of shame to begin to proceed to his father's house, even though he has gone through what he's gone through. And even the scripture talks about the woman with the issue of blood. The scripture says he made up his mind, and he said that if I can touch the hem of his garment, I will be made whole. That's a resolution. And that's the type of resolution I'm talking about here. Because that resolution comes with power. It comes with strength in it. It's not a normal resolution. It's a type of enough resolution. I'm now looking at the things that matter to me. I'm reshuffling things around. And I believe that this is where I should be going as a husband. This is where I should be going as a father. This is where I should be going as a leader and as a member of the society that I belong in. For example, there are so many things going wrong. What do I do about it? It's very easy to go in a corner and marginal. But when you have that resolution in your mind, when you have identified that there is that gap, it brings that resolution to say, I'm looking for someone to do something, but based on my reflection and my redefinition, this is important to me. And therefore, I'm going to reveal to myself, what is that thing that is important? What is that thing that's important? And who is that someone that I've been looking for to make that change? Am I not someone? That's the point of resolution. Yeah. You resolve to say, whatever it takes, this is what my priorities are going to be. Now, when you're at that point of resolution, it's very, very important that you take a step back and strategize. Remember, I think it was Einstein who said insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting different results. That is not going to happen. Even when you look at the scriptures, which is the basis of all the things that we do, for every war that the children of Israel went to, they got a strategy from God. Mm-hmm. Not all the strategies worked. Not all the strategies will work for every situation. That's what that teaches us. So with all the new strategies that they're getting, that's going to give them a better chance of success. Now, that doesn't mean that old strategy did not win them that war. That's a fact. Mm-hmm. But you cannot base on that fact and then you want to go to another level, because that's what progress is all about. If you knew what you know today, last year, maybe you would have progressed further than you would have last year. Mm-hmm. And that's what brings us to the stage of re-strategizing. What steps do I need to take? What steps do I need to take? What do I need to do? How do I tackle this? This is where you go out and you talk to people, you create relationships, you read books, you do a lot of research, and you pray about it, and ask God, how do I approach this war? Because every challenge, remember, we're talking about progress, and there is nothing like progress that does not involve taking one step after the other. And in life, there's always going to be a resistance. Yeah. Nothing is going to just wait for you there. I was talking to my son the other day. He's a very good guitarist. And I was talking to him the other day, and I said, you will really make a very good musician. All you need to do is to, polish up your skills. And he said to me, Daddy, have you asked me what I want to do? Have I told you I want to be a musician? I said, oh, okay, that's fine. And I said to him, listen, Bloom, that's not how life works. Nothing is out there waiting for you to come and get it. So whatever it is that's a talent that you've been given, you need to make sure that you polish that, because you never know. That might be the way for you to succeed. Mm-hmm. So you don't pack what you have and say, oh, we'll put that by the corner. Some of us have skills. Some of us have skills in writing. Some of us have skills in acting. Some of us have skills in building businesses. Yeah. And then we'll put that in the corner. And, we're saying that doesn't look like the dream I want to achieve. Some of us are very good cooks at home. When we go to the kitchen, magic happens. And the missus is saying, oh, I don't like this man yet. Like, this is my space. Mm-hmm. Each time he comes here, he sort of takes it to another level. And I don't want to create that expectation in this house. But that's what we're talking about. And now, when you look at those things, in life, especially with the exposure that we've had living in different parts of the world, that there are people who are cooks and they are very, very massive broadcasters today. They're doing presentations. Yeah. Now, you might look at yourself and say, oh, no, I'm a born speaker. Oh, no, I'm a born writer. So I'm not going to look at being a chef. what is a chef. But when I call you and sit you down and say to you, how much do you think Jamie Oliver is worth? He is a chef. That was his training. But today he speaks. Today he does presentations on TV. Today he's written so many books. So what was his route into the progress that he's made in his life? He went and he harnessed what he was given, his gift.
Yeah.
And that pushed him to all these other directions, all these other opportunities emanated from there. And now he's all these things that he's even doing charity work, he's doing, so many campaigns. And then when I ask you, how much do you think he's worth? He's worth £500 million, at least £500 million. That's how much he's worth. Just doing what? Becoming a chef and making progress from one thing to the other, to the other, to the other. So what point am I trying to make? I'm trying to make a point that when we are re-strategizing, we must start from what we've been given.
Yeah.
We must start from what we've been given and cultivate that patience that we need to share skills. Be noticed. That's the only time that will be noticed. And from that notice, we go to another level. Someone says, oh, I met this guy. Oh, he's a brilliant cook and so on. And then someone comes to maybe where you're cooking and they say, oh, no, this guy, I need to get this guy on TV. No, why is this guy not on TV? And from there, you progress. I'm just asking us not to look down, not to underestimate the opportunities that the skills and talents that we've been individually given, what it can produce when we're looking at this stage, this pillar of re-strategization. Now, the next one is redemption. This is the time that you now want to, shape things, reshape things, shake things around, to begin to go in the direction that you want to go. This is the time for action. It's not time for thinking, oh, what if I look at that? What if I look at that? What if I look at that? No. Apostle Paul was talking in one of the pieces. He said, forgetting all that is past and focusing on the calling of Jesus. That's what we need to be doing at this stage. What is it that's the mission? What does our strategy say? And how do we then begin to implement? Sometimes the strategy might be wrong. Make sure you take time to go back to the drawing board and re-strategize and not giving up. Because now you are in a direction that you believe that that's what your calling is at that point. Because it's focus. I was talking to, some young people and I say to them, in this future that we have right now, the way things are, there's a lot of distractions everywhere. The people, the children that will succeed in the future, the men, the women that will succeed in the future are not the women and not the men and women with skills. They are the men and women with focus who can focus on one thing and they can begin to take it to another level and not allow themselves to be distracted. And that's where we need to really, really, really polish up all those skills, create the environment to encourage us to focus, because now it's hard work, it's looking for results. As part of your strategy, you remember you're looking at what results that you're looking to achieve, and then you draw the map back and say, if I'm looking to get to Scotland, Edinburgh in Scotland, what steps, what cities do I need to go? What options do I need to, could I use to get there? And what are the best options? And for those best options, what are the steps in those options? We begin to do that. And focusing on that. And that will help us to continue to make the progress that we're looking to achieve. Now I go to the sixth one, which is reassess. It's very easy for us to think that we're succeeding. It's very, very easy to think that we are making progress. I'll tell you a story. When I finished uni, I had a very good friend of mine. When I was at uni, I was working at care homes. That's where I met this guy. He had issues with his marriage, and they had one child, I believe, then, and there were lots of things happening. So we became friends. He was from Nigeria. He's from Nigeria as well. We became friends. He's an IT consultant. He's worked for banks, but then it was a the crash, the 2000 crash. So he had to look for something to make money. So that's how he came into care. And we were walking. And at a certain stage, this guy, we got so close. He told me about the issues he had with his wife, and I helped him to navigate his way out of that. So we became very close because of that. At some stage, he disappeared, and I was still doing the care work, now looking for my next step. And one day, my phone rang. It was one of his friends that we worked together, and he said, "Oh, Simon is looking for you. Please, can I share your number with him?" I said, "Why not? Oh, can I give you his number?" He gave me his number. I called him, and he said, "Oh, what are you doing now?" Then I started doing desktop support. And I thought that was a very, very good job. Now I'm, doing desktop support. I'm no longer, looking after people and doing all those type of dressing the bed and looking after sick people and so on. And he called me and I said to him, "Look, this is what I'm doing now. Very, very exciting." Because I did a bit of desktop support in that hospital. And then I left there and I went to do a desktop support for a bank. So that was a huge thing for me then. I'm earning more than I used to earn in the hospital. Now this guy called me and he said, "What are you doing now?" I told him, "This is what I'm doing. I'm 3 months into this contract. It's really nice. This is what I'm doing. I'm now working for so and so bank." And he said to me, "No, no, 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 no. That's not good enough. That's not good enough. You need to come to London." I came to London the day he invited me. I took my notebook. He told me what to do, what to do, what to do, what to do. I had to go and do an exam. I did an exam, and he coached me to go into testing, software testing. By that singular step that he guided me through, I was able to double my salary straight away. Within 2 months, I was able to double my salary. And why am I saying this? I'm saying it because it's very easy for us to think that we are on track. We are progressing. We're progressing. But we have to make room always for reassessment, because you might think that you've seen success, but begin to rethink, and ask yourself these questions. Do you know that some people woke up this morning, at the end of the day, they've made 500,000 pounds? Do you know that on this same day, some people made 10 million? Do you know that some people made 100 million? But the only way that you can get there is by knowing what they know. So as we begin to look at the success that we have, that we think that we are making, the progress that we think that we're making, we must always keep room for reassessment. Who are those people who are progressing? What can we learn from them? In books, where are they doing presentations? What conferences are they going to? What Zoom? Can I learn a bit more from them? And we take things from there and we learn. And before you know it, we're able to now make astronomical progress, because progress from 1 meter to 1.1 meter is progress. There are some people who are going to guide you from 1 meter to 1,000 kilometers. That is the progress.
Yeah.
I will look at both of you and I will say, these two people are making progress. 0.1 is nothing compared to 100 kilometers. And we know that there is no comparison there. So that's why it's very, very necessary for us to make sure that we reassess as we continue to push on in our journey to progress, which will lead in success in so many different parts of our lives, whether it's in your marriage, in business, in your relationships that you're building, even with your society.
Mm-hmm.
And once that's done, we are now in the final stage, which isn't final because it's called repeat. Repeat. So whatever it is that we've talked about, as you have climbed, because we're talking about progress, we're talking about this presentation with the fact that we need to be climbing a step. We are climbing to the other stage. We are climbing to the other stage. These things that we've got have led you to a certain stage. Now it's time to go to the next stage. What do? You repeat. You've achieved something, you've made progress. But what do we do? And repeat this phase of reflection. We need to go through another phase of redefinition and make a resolution that is followed by some form of re-strategization that will lead us to redeeming that stage, to putting in the work that we need to go through that stage. And as we are progressing with that work, and we're getting ready to repeat again. I hope that this has, benefited you. If it has benefited me, because most of the things I've spoken tonight, I have not prepared for them. But the Lord has helped us to get here. So amazing time going through all this. And thank you, Mr. Kendrick, for staying with me as I journey this. And thank you guys for listening.
Nah, you did an amazing job. Thank you so much for. You were flying through it. I'm like, but there's juice. You're squeezing a little bit more, sir. You like just eating it on.
Yeah.
Wow,
Yeah.
wow. But
yeah, sorry, I didn't want to stop the flow. I just felt it was flowing, and I thought, what? I'll just make sure they come out so they don't go back to where they came from.
Yeah, no, that's good. There's just a couple of things that kind of like popped out, as you were talking. That I just want to kind of just speak into and just see how we can get some more juice out of this. The first one that you were touching on was resolution, and I kind of like just quickly looked at another definition for resolution. It says it is a firm decision to do or not to do something. Now just listen to that now, because now let me just put the word resolution on there. It's like kind of like when you look at the word, it's like kind of like you try to get your head around it. Okay, yeah, resolution. Everybody has kind of like their own interpretation. But if you just think about it, it says it's basically what it is a firm decision to do or not to do something. And I think when we talk about progress, when we talk about going a little bit further, I like what you were saying. Going just 1 meter, 2 meter, 1 mile forward, it's still progress. And what we do sometimes, we undermine our progress and we don't celebrate what we've achieved. We kind of like sometimes we are very hard on ourselves. And I believe, that, like, just to come back to where he's talking about a firm decision to do or not to do something, because that's where it all starts. Because unless you and I make a decision to progress in a specific direction and be very clear what it is that we are after, I can boldly say that nothing will be able to stop you because you've made a clear decision. And I think sometimes that's where we are kind of like fuzzy. It's like, shall I or shall I not? And kind of like, so which means we don't give our all. You have your one leg in this project, you have your other leg in that project. You say, okay, this one I started it 10 months ago. Let me pick it up while I'm running with. And our focus is so spread all over the place. Not because we don't really know what we want, because we decided we want it all. But it's about making a firm decision. Okay, this is what I'm after, and this is the direction that I'm going. And I believe a lot of our progress will be determined on how much we are focused on any specific task or on any specific goal, whatever it is that we set in front of ourselves. And yeah, that's just an amazing point, sir. A resolution to make that firm decision. Because sometimes we do make a decision, but it's just not firm enough. Because when I know I'm really moving on something, I like what you were saying earlier, just when you jumped on. It's kind of like you were concerned. There are so much that happened this week. Shall I not go on today and let Kendrick just pedal it out? No, but you made a firm decision. You jumped on. And I think when we kind of like make decisions, especially when it's hard, especially when we don't feel like it, especially when kind of, because sometimes the flesh just cries out, can be tired, man. Just text the guys and say, guys, we are postponing today's session because you just come up with all kind of excuses. They're excuses anyway, you lie, isn't it?
Yeah.
Because there's always a way to get through on something. But yeah, and then you moved on. You were talking about re-strategizing, and just to put it in even in a different way, what's the plan? Because the way I'm looking at strategizing is, all right, I've tried one plan. That plan had certain steps involved there. It didn't work the way I was hoping for it to work out. And now, all right, let's re-strategize. Let's go back to the drawing board and say, all right, what plan can we flush out now to see if we can get to our intended goal? Um, because without a plan, without a strategy, or without re-strategizing, because I think we always re-strategize. The thing is, if we strategize now, the only way that you will not re-strategize it means that you dump that thing, isn't it? Because you said, all right, now it didn't work. It's either you dump it, say, okay, maybe that's not what's not meant. You dump it, and then you start something fresh. But the thing is, but if it did not work, which means the next step is, all right, let's re-strategize and just see, all right, how we can make this things. We still got the same goal that we want to pursue, but how can we? It kind of like, you know, when this word comes up, um, re-strategizing, or you know, when you come up with a plan of a way to accomplish something. It takes me back to a few years when I came online. I said, "All right, ladies and gentlemen, my name is Kendrick, and I'm so excited to be on here today. From today onwards, my goal is to come on here for 365 days." You know, you even sound deep. Come on here for 365 days, and I'm going to bring a word that will encourage somebody. I'm going to bring a word that is going to inspire you. And we went into it. 1 week, 2 weeks. Oh my God, this thing is hard, man. But you keep on. 2 o'clock in the morning, you are still editing because you know 7 o'clock, 8 o'clock is coming. You need to get this video out because and they said, no, this thing is going to kill me, man. I can't keep it. Oh, I had to go back. I had to go back and I had to re-strategize, because I think something that really holds us back from moving forward is we sometimes we are too proud to admit that the steps we've taken, we missed our target. And I think we have to be humble enough. We have to be bold enough to say, all right, no, this didn't work. Let's try something different. Because sometimes we're concerned about, oh no, what is he going to say? What is she going to say? What are they going to say? But at the end of the day, you will be wondering and squabbling about what will they and she and them say. But in the meantime, you are not making any progress, because you know what you're doing is you're riding a dead horse, you're beating it, but it's not moving at all. But we have to be courageous enough to pull back and say, listen, speaking to yourself, I gotta re-strategize. I need to come up with something fresh there, because I believe it's about balancing how you do things. So you don't need to kill one thing to make progress in another area, but it's kind of like knowing how things can work together, instinct. So that you imagine you and I trying to make more money at the expense of our family, at the expense of our health. No, strategize in such a way where your health is in place, your family is in place, the business is still bringing in what it needs to bring in. Your relationships are not suffering with your friends. You're still connected with other people. You still have a social life. But if something is wrong, if certain areas in our life is struggling, because we are too proud enough, we are too proud to pull back and start again. I think that's really an amazing point that you brought up there, sir. Mention a couple of things on redemption, reassess. So I think for us to even sometimes we can even be aware of these pillars, to be honest. And I'm just kind of like going back on what I've mentioned earlier. Sometimes it's about being aware of, as we're talking about progress, what are those pillars that you and I are already aware of and we are already working on? Because I believe pillars needs to be strengthened all the time, because they are meant to carry weight. Am I right? Isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely.
Rest on a pillars. The pillars don't just stand there. You might maybe if you go to Rome, you start see a single pillar just standing there. But many years ago, that pillar was supporting something.
Yeah.
So I believe when you even find out, oh my, this is a pillar that I really need to work on. If you find out what that pillar is, you kind of like always have to keep on working on it, working on it. I mean, just to make for put an example, if say for example maybe the relationship with you and your wife, with me and my wife. If I know my wife is somebody that loves to talk, and that helps us to connect. But for me, maybe I might be running my mouth on here, but I don't think I'm not very vocal. Right? I can sit, and socialize with somebody. You can just watch a movie, and I can just be quiet the whole time. I'm not very talkative. I can believe so anyway. But if I know that is a pillar, maybe let's just call it maybe communication. If that's a pillar that I know that will help strengthening my relationship with my wife, but I'm having some weakness within communication. Don't you think if I strengthen that pillar, it will make a difference to my our relationship? Of course,
Absolutely.
it will. Sometimes it's just about identifying what are those pillars, and I think the ones that you identify here is they're just amazing. And I like the last one, because sometimes we think, now all right, I've gone through all the pillars, and now all right, that's what's new. No, rinse and repeat, boy. Rinse and repeat. Why? Because we don't have to look for something new. If something, because sometimes the reason why we usually look for something new is because we did not pay attention what we've done before. We've had some kind of success in one specific area, because we were so busy pushing towards, all right, this is where I'm going. But I didn't even pay attention to what I was doing on a day-to-day basis.
Yes.
What me there 6 months down the line. So which now I can't even repeat it because I don't know what I've done. And I think that can be one of our biggest mistakes. Is like we do not pay attention, and then at the end of the day, you gotta pay somebody, because somebody will then know what you've done, and so you need to pay in one way or the other. Any thoughts that you want to pour on that, sir?
No, that's amazing. When we talk about these things, it's I have real stories and so on. I can use to back this up. I used to run Amazon business, which was doing so well. But at some stage, the whole thing stopped working. I lost motivation and so on and so forth. But why? At a certain stage, I decided that I'm going to look back and see what was it that I was doing then that really worked. There were some things, but I didn't put those down. I didn't document those things.
That's it.
What does that? The strategies at the strategy phase, I didn't even have any strategy. I just went into work redemption. I wanted to do something that will reposition me. But when you jump that strategy phase, the ability, the repeatability of whatever progress that you've made becomes impossible. So you will keep telling the stories. And when you meet people and you even start telling them the stories and you walk away from them, they just say to their husband or to their partner or whatever, that guy, you hear what that guy is saying?
Yeah.
I don't think he's telling the truth. I mean, how is it possible? How is it possible that you be turning over hundreds of thousands on Amazon every month and then suddenly there's nothing? No, there must be something. It's all these boys who go and do all this bad stuff and then they use something to cover. That's what happened then. It wasn't really. But no. We actually did proper business. We actually did launched a lot of products and we sold. But how do we repeat it now? It's not. I'm finding it really, really hard.
Yeah.
And this is as a result of not documenting whatever it was that was a strategy that we used to achieve that progress that we made in our lives then. And for me to repeat that again, I will have to go and put myself back in the experimental stage,
Yeah.
and now document that process,
That's right.
so that once I hit it, get it right, I will then be able to reuse it. So, the good thing with this topic that we're looking at tonight is that's what we want. Everybody wants progress in their lives.
Mm.
Nobody wants to be stagnant. Even
Yeah.
your richest billionaire in the
Yeah.
world, they want to see progress in things, in some things. That's why you see most of them, they chase money. They climb that ladder. They get to the top of money. They look for social justice.
Yeah.
That one, they look for impossible channels, impossible courses that they're going to pursue, that they think that they can make progress there.
Yeah.
And while we sit here and we see them as billionaires, they have everything. No, they're not satisfied. They're working on something so that they can get to see progress in a certain aspect of their life. And that's what's going to give them the fulfillment that we are actually thinking that they already have, but they don't have it. So that's why it's really, really crucial that we whatever it is, we proceed with strategy. It's just like, there's a certain stage in your life, and someone comes to you and says, when you need to solve, about it. And that's what almost every Christian will tell you. Yeah.
So I lost you there for about 2 seconds.
Okay. Sorry.
The part where you said something and then you said that's what every Christian would say, but I didn't hear what you.
I'm just saying. Normally, we say to ourselves as Christians, we say, or we hear it preached in church, to say, whatever you're doing, you have to pray about it. You have to hand it over to God before you progress. And that's what every Christian says. Yeah. Now, tell me how many Christians you approach with a problem today, and they will tell you, okay, Brother Kendrick, I've heard what you said. I'm going to pray about it, and we can talk about it tomorrow. Is that okay? And then you think to yourself, how many times have you tried to tackle somebody else's problem without even praying about it? You see, that's the strategy we're talking about there. So sometimes you do it, and you give that advice, and someone has a breakthrough. And then sometimes, because someone has had a breakthrough, next time someone corners you and says, oh, Brother Kendrick, Bro Chris told me about you and the discussion you guys had about this and about that. Can you please help me with this? Okay, you call them to a corner to say, okay, this is exactly what I went through with Brother Chris. So this is step 1, step 2, step 3. And then it doesn't work for him. And you're wondering, how come? How come this thing didn't work? No, there's a step that's missed there.
Yeah.
There's a step. So whatever it is that we do or that we've done in the past that has produced any form of success or progress, we need to go back there, make sure that we document it, find out exactly what it was that produced those results for us, so that we can then repeat that process.
Yeah.
If it becomes repeatable, even when you talk to people who are into investments, they have their funnels that they use to weigh things. They say, okay, if it meets this criteria, it's okay. And let's go to the next phase of the checks. Does it meet this criteria? If it passes, we move into the next phase, to the next phase, to the next phase, to the next phase. And that becomes what do they call it? The IP of that organization, which they will hide from everybody with all they have. All they're telling you is, invest in us. We are able to produce 10% every year, consistently, without a doubt. Yeah, but they have their funnels with which they use to assess opportunities, so that they are not guessing. But you and I would guess or hear something in the news and we rush towards it. But they have a repeatable process that they use to assess every opportunity. It goes through all those processes, and they say, this is the one. And they go and they put your money there. They get 50%. They give you your 10%. Everybody happy. They do that repeatedly. And then they have people who work in departments. All the job that they're doing is, what are the other data points that we need to add into this our algorithm? Yes, that's what it's called. What
Yeah.
are the other data points that we can add into this algorithm so that we become more accurate?
Yeah.
That's building up a strategy there.
Yeah.
That's if you trade forex, they call them strategies. That's building up the strategy there. It's
Yeah.
mixing these particular parameters, it's putting the other parameters there, and then the result is repeatable.
That's
That
right.
is how you
That's right.
build a strong organization. That's how
Yeah.
you build a strong relationship. That's how
Yeah.
you build a strong marriage and a strong business. That's how you do it because it's repeatable. You see the person, they are at peace. They're
Yeah.
not gambling. Because if
Yeah.
you gamble, you will not sleep at night. If you know what you're doing, you have a strategy, you
Yeah.
set up the market. When I used to be very good at forex, you set up the market before you sleep. You look at all the critical parameters. You set it up, set your take profit, set your stop loss. Most times, by the time you wake up in the morning, it's hit the take profit. Your position is closed. You didn't even do anything.
Mm.
But
Yeah.
when I take positions where I have gambled, I'm thinking, euro versus Japanese yen is going to be, it's going to be a sell tonight. I don't know why, but I think it's going to be a sell. You go, tell me, to tell you the truth, you will not sleep that night because there is no strategy there.
Yeah.
And in the morning, lo and behold, the
Yeah.
money is gone. You've
You
lost it.
you're in the red.
Yeah, exactly. You're in the red. That's how it works. That's how it
And,
works. So the same way that works, that's the same way we must all apply these sort of strategies to have
yeah.
something that is repeatable. So that the Kendrick I see in 2022
Yeah.
is going to be the same Kendrick. He's not going to start going back.
Mm.
He's not
Mm.
going to do 200,000 on Amazon this year, and then
Yeah.
the next year he's doing 50 pounds.
Yeah.
Like I'm doing right now.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's not going to happen. But with a strategy, you can be guaranteed that that progress will be there.
And you know what? I kind of like just want to add to that because it seems like the focus this evening is pretty much are you working a strategy that is repeatable?
Yeah.
It seems like that's what because
Yes.
um, and you are like kind of like talking from experience because you were at a place where you were making low buckets of money
Mm.
and you kind of like were aware of what you were doing.
Mm.
But now the question is, can you go back and do it again? And
Yeah.
the answer is you kind of like have to start from scratch.
Yes.
And it
Yeah.
kind of like take me back to, usually you will hear somebody as a multimillionaire would say, you can take all my money from me now,
Yes.
leave me in a city with maybe with $20 or 20
Yeah.
pounds or whatever,
Yeah.
and give me some time. It might have taken me 20 years to do that 50 million or whatever,
Mhm.
but I can get back to that same place with most probably in a period of maybe 2 years or whatever.
2 years.
Why
Yes.
is that? Why is it? Because I believe it's not even so much the strategy by itself,
Mm-hmm.
because strategies can change based on because times don't remain the same. The way
Yes.
people do business and the way society operates and
Mm-hmm.
just technology,
It's,
things change. So which means
mm-hmm.
your strategies, the strategy that you used 10 years ago, might you have to evolve all the time. But I believe what is even more solid that we have to work on, it is the person that you and I have to become. Because I believe when they say put me in a city by myself with 20 pounds in my pocket, is because they had to become a certain kind of person to be
Mm-hmm.
able to draw that kind of money to themselves. So
Yes.
when we are talking about going through a process where we are reaching for a goal, reaching,
Yeah.
reaching for a specific a target in whatever in whatever pursuit, uh, we have to also yes pay attention to the strategies that we are using, but also pay attention to what's happening on the inside of me. What kind of thinking do I entertain? What kind of how do I handle my emotions when somebody says no, when I reach out for a specific contract and I'm being rejected? what is my level of discipline, my level of persistence, because these are intrinsic things, isn't it? These are things, that is who I am. These are the things will propel me towards success, even more so than the actual strategies that we, all right, okay, I've got my, everything lined up and all of that. But if my thinking process, if the way I handle and deal with people, if those things don't line up with all of the strategies that are, if you would like to say, tangible, then it needs to line up. We need to it needs to be in sync, because if it's not synchronized, what will happen is like, oh, I did this a year ago and I want to repeat, rinse and repeat. But why is it not? Is because I also did not pay attention to how I dealt with a certain customer when I just went to the office and I had, I just maybe had a bad day at the house. Maybe me and the wife, who were just like, have some misunderstanding. Now I went to take it out on the customer. That kind of thing. So those are the
Yeah.
kind of things that I believe it's all I think it's more about us paying attention.
Yeah.
And I think if we don't pay attention to, and being aware of what it is that we need to pay attention to, and if we fail to do that, it's kind of like what you're saying. Then we kind of like, you have to kind of like figure it out from scratch.
Yeah.
But this is just amazing. This is just amazing, and
Yeah.
and I believe if we continue to have this kind of conversations, it will become just, it will be more rooted on the inside of us. That this thing is much deeper than, excuse me, than just just shallow thinking.
Yeah.
But
Absolutely.
it goes much deeper. Um, we're pretty much on the top of the hour, so I don't know if there's anything else that you wanted to add.
No,
Uh,
absolutely. There's really nothing more other than just keep an eye on those pillars. Keep an eye on those
yeah,
pillars.
yeah,
We've gone through them. Um, Make sure that you find time to reflect, and redefine what's important to you,
yeah. Let me just
and resolve.
maybe if we can just call it out again, so when somebody
Yeah,
gets to this point of the video, then they can kind of maybe just make a
yeah,
note of it. So
yeah.
so it's obviously it's called the Pillars of
The
Progress.
pillars of progress.
Mhm.
That's it. The summary is we have to continue to reflect, make sure that we live an unexamined life is not worth living, says Socrates. The next one is redefining. Who do we want to be? What is really important to us? The one that was good last year, is it still good? Most times it's not. So redefine what makes you happy, whether it's in your business, whether it's in your relationship, whether it's in your contribution in the world. It's very, very important. And the next step is the third pillar is where you have to resolve. Resolve, as Kendrick has said, is a firm decision. Firm, that is the key word there. Firm decision. It's not an ordinary decision. I'm just going to go for a run now, and then you go out, you just say, you know what, it was a run, but now it's going to be a walk back. It's okay. You know, I can even run the last 10 steps. People will still think I ran. That's it. No, it's a firm decision to move on to the next stage. That is the progress that we're talking about. The next one is re-strategization. You have to re-strategize. Remember, insanity is doing the same thing and expecting the same result and expecting a different result. And you are going to get the same result. So if you do not aim to get the same results, then you need to look at your strategy. And like Kendrick pointed out, we must always document our strategy so that it becomes something that is repeatable. We cannot be too rigid about it, because some strategies has expiry dates. We cannot say, oh, because it's working here, it's got to work. There will be components of your strategy that will have things about principles will not have expiry date. Things like truthfulness, honesty, integrity, all those type of qualities. They're not going to have expiry dates. But things like how you approach solving customer problems and so on and so forth, all those things are going to change. So be open to that and ask for help. Look for help to do that. The next one is where you actually do the actual work, which is redemption. This is time that the key word here is focus. Focus on what you want to do. There's a lot of distractions these days, and the people who will win in the future that we're looking forward to are the people who are able to focus. And the sixth one is reassess. As you're working, you have to make sure that you are reassessing what you are achieving, because sometimes all that, as we know, all that glitters is not gold. It may not be what it seems to be. It may be progress, but not progress in the right direction. It may be progress in the eyes of other people, but does that align with your goal as an individual? Very, very important. Now, having highlighted the fact that we need to make sure that we're documenting what we're doing, the final step, that the seventh one, is repeat. You cannot repeat what you have not documented. It's very crucial. I've told you guys now in this presentation, I've talked about a very, very expensive mistake I've made, being very, very successful on Amazon and ending up with like 0.0001% of the success I've seen on Amazon. That is because I documentation. If you can do all these things, I believe that we would have equipped ourselves with the pillars that we require to progress. And remember, progress is what we're talking about. We're not talking about success. At the end of each of these steps, you're going to achieve a level of success. And then the step to take here is to repeat it, rinse and repeat. Go to the next step and do it again. And hopefully, by the grace of God, we'll begin to see a strange type of success as we pursue whatever it is that's important to us in our lives. Thank you.
Great stuff. Well, gentlemen, there you have it. The pillars of success. Sir, you did an amazing job. Thank you so much for sharing these gold nuggets. My goodness, we can't wait for what you got in store for next week. So
okay.
All right.
Look forward to that.
Yeah, absolutely. But gentlemen, so I'll recommend that you go back and this was done over two sessions, and become aware of what are those pillars that you need to focus on, because we are after success and we are after progress. So so let's call it a night and have an amazing week. Absolutely. And we will see you guys next week. All right.
Thank you so much, sir. Fantastic evening.
All right, you too. Cheers. Bye-bye.
Bye.